There is a very serious topic that we start with. We love to joke around. We love to have fun. But as we welcome in Elliotte Friedman, the first topic is a very heavy one. Earlier today, I had the privilege of talking with Joni Meyer-Crothers, the mother of Isaiah. He was on the wrong side of this bullying incident. The Coyotes' top draft pick, Mitchell Miller, convicted of bullying him, a young man with special needs. You have plenty on this story. What is the latest, Elliotte?
Well, I'm going to be careful about reducing it to a couple of sentences. You have to be very careful about those kinds of things. And I would advise anybody who is curious about this story to read what was published today on the Arizona Republic website. I thought that story did an excellent job of creating all the context and breaking down all of the issues. When I saw the story today, I reached out to the Coyotes and I asked, would they be renouncing the rights to the draft pick? And renouncing means just, giving up the rights to the player, Mitchell Miller, who was selected earlier this month. And they said no. They said that they believe that the young man is deserving of an opportunity to prove that he can make proper amends and that he can show that the incident, as ugly as it was, and it was ugly, is behind him, and it's something that he has learned from and can improve on and can simply say that I'm a better and different person now. Now, the one thing that appears to be missing from this, Tony, and if I was advising the Coyotes and the young man himself, is it's quite clear that the family of the young man who you mentioned is not satisfied yet with what's happened in the aftermath. And I think that that's where you have to go. I think you have to try to make it right with the family. I think that's the only thing you can really do. And I hope that Mitchell Miller tries to do that.
Isaiah is a brave young man, and his mom, Joni, a very classy lady. Moving on to a Coyote who is still beloved and will always be beloved, Shane Doan. Remember this from a few years ago, the Players Tribune? He said, I get asked often about the loyalty I feel toward this organization. I get asked why I've turned down other opportunities so that I can keep playing hockey in what some people characterize as not an ideal situation. Donor continues. I've already given plenty of examples of why I love it here, but on a basic level, my biggest reason for wanting to stick around all these years is simple. This organization drafted me to win a Stanley Cup, and I still plan to deliver on my end of the bargain. If that doesn't give you goosebumps, then I can't help you. How awesome is Shane Doan, and how big is this news that he's back in the desert helping that club that he loves so much?
Well, Tony, they're not back yet, and I think that there still is some work to be done here. I believe there's I don't believe. I know there have been conversations between Doan and the Coyotes about bringing him back into the organization. And, as you said there, I think Doan would love to be a member of the Coyotes organization. I think they would love to have him. But, it's got to be fit. It's all got to work. And I think those conversations have begun. And it's all a matter of, can they work it out? Can they find the proper role and everything, the proper fit? So I think that's what this is about right now, but the conversations are underway. And I think there's a lot of people who hope it works out because of everything you just said there and how much his name means to the organization.
Elliotte, you go from one very well and universally respected and loved player in Shane Doan to another one in Trevor Daley.
Yes.
And can you talk about what's on the horizon for him?
Trevor Daley had indicated in a conversation I had with him in the offseason that, he was leaning, it was unlikely he was going to play this year, particularly because he wanted to stay close to home, which is in the Detroit area. And if the Red Wings didn't want him back and they had indicated that they were going to start moving in a different direction, no, he wanted to be a dad. He wanted to be around his kids growing up. And who can fault him for that? Well, the Penguins officially hired him today in a front office developmental role. And, Michael, you know him. I think he'll be excellent at it. I think he will be fantastic at teaching young people how to play this game and how to learn this game and everything you go through it, because he went through ups, he went through downs. And thankfully for him, he finished on one of the greatest of highs in the late in his career, winning the Stanley Cup. I'm very curious. Pittsburgh made another move today. They fired Jason Karmanos, who's their assistant GM. And I think that surprised a lot of people. I know it surprised me. I'm wondering if this is going to mean that sometime in the future, we're going to see Jason Botterill back in this organization.
He was beloved when he was there, and I'll tell you what, it got real misty when Sidney Crosby handed the cup, that first cup pass, which is so significant. Obviously, Trevor's mom ill, unforgettable Stanley Cup stuff. So we're just coming off the end of the 2019-2020 season. We are hearing that there are potential start dates looming. What are you hearing in terms of a start date for next season?
Well, the one that the NHL keeps talking about is January 1st, and that's their target date. And it's a goal, it's a guideline, but it's not anything that's set in stone. Tony, while the NHL says that they're going to do it January 1st, we all have to think, okay, they're going to try. And I think they do want to try. I'm one of those people, though, who believes it'll be later January, maybe beginning of February. I'm seeing the spikes right now, and like everyone, I'm concerned about what this could mean. If you want to start at the beginning of January, that means your training camp has to begin in the middle of December. Are we really going to be in a position where we're healthy enough in the middle of December to start a season, particularly when we know we're not going to be set with absolute bubbles? If we do have bubbles, they're going to be bubbles that players can go in and out of. They're not going to be as secure as the ones from the Stanley Cup playoffs. So and also don't forget, the players have the right to be off around Christmas. And unless they're willing to give up that right as part of negotiations for this year only, you're not going to want a situation where players come in and then they go away. So I wonder if we'll see training camps actually at the beginning of January and the season begin maybe more likely around the middle of January, beginning of February.
Coaches can still be fired right around Christmas. Lou Lamoriello, that's one of the things that people remember him for. But there's so many other positive things. Let's focus in on the draft lottery. Two of the most exciting nights we've ever had in this building were draft lottery nights. Of course, what happened with the first one and then the second one. And Rangers fans, if you lean towards Broadway, are still screaming, excited about Lafreniere. Are there going to be changes to the lottery procedure?
I think they're going to discuss it, Tony. A number of teams didn't like what happened this year. And this year is it's COVID. It's like all sorts of crazy stuff this happened this year. But I think their point was that Detroit wasn't tanking. The Red Wings were legitimately in the middle of a rebuild, and that was a team that didn't deserve to drop 3 spots in the lottery. And the league made a presentation at the GM meeting last Friday to say this is why we do what we did. And they last changed the odds in 2015 because they dropped the number one team from 25% down to 20 from getting the worst team from getting the number one overall pick. And they explained their rationale. And I think there's some teams who would say it's felt that, look, like last year was unfair to the Red Wings. Is there a happier medium? So what the NHL has done is they said, okay, bring us your proposals. Let's see what you've got to say. And we'll see if we can find something. I still think the league really wants to strongly discourage tanking. They don't like it. They think it's bad for the sport. But I think they would also say, okay, is there a better way than last year where Detroit drops 3 spots? So I think they're just going to listen and see what these teams come up with.
Just talking about listening, we're hearing Alex Killorn's name coming up, the newly Stanley Cup champ, Alex Killorn. And we know that this Tampa Bay Lightning team is up against it in this offseason. What are you hearing on that front?
I do think, Michael, that Alex Killorn is a player that the Tampa Bay Lightning would prefer to keep. And I think they've made that very clear, that they would like to keep Alex Killorn. He does not have full no trade protection. He has partial. I think that this has been so difficult on them, creating the cap room, that I believe there are conversations now that this is not what we want to do, but it might be what we have to do. A number of the Lightning players either they don't want to trade them, or they don't want to waive their protection, or the value just simply isn't there with the guys they want to move. Killorn is value. He does not have full protection. I think Tampa's realizing they may have no choice, although I still think it's something that they would like to avoid.
Alex is a proven pro in this league, obviously a capable goal scorer, but not the number 2 goal scorer in his draft class. Patrick Laine could be on the move from Winnipeg. What in the world? Help us understand this one.
Tony, I think that's quite simply a situation where here's a guy who's got a year left on his contract. It's going to be a big number. I don't think he's very happy in Winnipeg. I don't think he's happy with his role. He wants to play with Mark Scheifele. They're not committed to that. I just think that this is a marriage that's gone a little bit sour. And he's definitely out there. The Jets are definitely looking at it, but they're asking for an awful lot, as they should. This is a very, very difficult trade to win if you're the Winnipeg Jets, and they're saying we'll do it if we get what we want, and they're aiming high.
Wow. That one is a huge story. Elliotte Friedman, as always, thanks for the intel.
My pleasure, guys.